What's up, YouTube? In this video, we're going to build a 20-foot powder coating oven. Now let's get to it. So the first thing I want to add is we're probably not going to complete the oven in this build. It's going to be a build series, but I don't want it to be a long series, probably 3 or 4 videos, kind of like our first one that we did. So what most of you may not know is I put the first video up of building a powder coating oven about 5 years ago. It was the first long form complete video, and to be completely honest, I was just starting on YouTube and I really didn't know how to make videos that well. So hopefully this video is going to be much more comprehensive and a lot easier to follow along than what my previous one did. So I'm trying to bring you more information. Now we do still have some stuff to clean up because the oven is going to be right here in this area, pretty much where it's laid out right now. Now I haven't decided if we're going to make the oven 4 foot wide, 5 foot wide, or 6 foot wide. Originally it was going to be 4 foot wide, but I believe we're going to go at least 5 foot wide right now, possibly 6 foot wide. I don't want the door too big and I don't want to have a double door, so I'm going to try and plan that out. But right here is a majority of the metal to build the two 20-foot long walls and part of the roof. If I'm going to go ahead and build the front and the back wall, the door for the front and the back wall, then I'm going to need more metal. Originally, I was just going to use the back wall and the front door off my old oven because it was going to be able to save me a little bit of time and a little bit of money. But after thinking about it, I don't really want to have to heat a 20-foot oven even when I'm doing smaller pieces. So the idea is I'm going to keep the other oven. I'm going to find another heat source for it. I'm going to use the 750,000 BTU heater that I have for that oven. I'm going to go ahead and use it for this big oven. Shouldn't be any problem heating it. It will probably take about 10 to 15 minutes, which is a little bit longer than what I wanted, but we're definitely going to test it out. If I need to add another heat source or up the size of the burner, I will. But I do have jobs that are coming down the pipeline, and I want to make sure that I have this oven built. Let's go ahead and start building this oven. So what I decided to use here, instead of the normal 2.5-inch metal studs, I went with the 3.65 metal studs. It's a little bit wider and it's going to hold the insulation easier. For the tops and bottom pieces of the frame, I've got 10-foot long pieces, so I can go ahead and put 2 of them together. That's 20 feet. And then it's going to be 8 foot high. So I've got 8-foot long studs, which I'm going to go ahead and put every 16 inches on center. Also on the ends, I am going to double up the studs, so it'll be 2 studs on one end. In the middle, I'm only going to do a single, and the reason I'm only going to do a single is we're going to attach those 2 10-foot pieces together, so there'll be 2 singles, which will make a double, and I'll be able to rivet them in there. Possibly might slide in a second one if needed on each side, but I don't believe that we're going to need basically 4 studs on each side in the middle. So it's probably going to be 2, and then 1 for each of the middle pieces. If you understand what I'm saying, I'll break it down as I do it, and then 2 on the other end. This will give it more rigidity and will allow it to hold more weight since it is a bigger oven. I have 2 different sets of rivets that I'm going to be trying. This one has about 1/8 of an inch grabbing space, and this one has 1/4 of an inch grabbing space. I should be fine with these, but I wanted to make sure. And if there's anything that's going to be a little bit thicker that we got to put together, we're going to go ahead and use these. So as you can see, this gap right here on this one is 1/4, and this one is 1/8. They're 50 packs. You can get them from Lowe's. Aluminum rivets. Now we did use these rivets on the last one. I think that's one thing that I didn't show, but we used these rivets on the last one, never had no problem. I do prefer rivets over self-tapping screws, because the heating and shrinking of the metal over time after it warms and cools and warms and cools makes it very easy for those screws to back out. Rivets are much better and will last a lot longer and hold your oven together a lot better. You'll have way less issues in the future. For this part of the project, you're going to want some tin snips, a square, a level, a random 2x4 that you can use to help prop things up. I'll show you when drilling, because if you're trying to drill a hole right here, this wants to collapse, so you put the 2x4 in there to help that. You're going to want to drill, preferably one you can plug in, otherwise a lot of batteries that are already charged, and then you're going to want a pneumatic or electric or even handheld rivet gun. I have air for it, I have electric. You're also going to want a tape measure, and you're going to want some sort of marking tool to be able to mark where you're going to put your studs. Now, after you have everything laid out, you're just going to want to start at one end, and I'm going to kind of show you, and then I'll put a little time lapse of me doing it. So basically what you're going to want to do is these studs are going to be turned on their side. This piece will be turned on its side. Wherever this fits, I like to make a little recess. As you can see, these are bent on the edge here. And I just like to find out where this is going and then snip that little piece so it'll lay flat, and do it on each side. That way it just lays flat right up against this. You don't have to worry about any issues. Here's an example, and then I'll get to it. And then get a little hammer with your 2x4 and you can flatten that out. You can cut that little edge off if you want. So how I like to do this, after you have your first piece in, is we'll get these snipped on each side. I'm gonna do that in time lapse. And then we'll get these knocked flat, put in the square, make sure everything is square, and then you're going to want to drill a hole and put a rivet, and then at an angle drill another hole. If you just do one in the center, it's going to want to turn. So if you at least do it this way on a diagonal, it's going to hold it quite a bit better. Then once they're all together, that makes things easier. Then you want to make sure you got something that can mark on metal. What you're going to want to do is go to the center of that. The center right here, there's already a line there on that piece. 16 inches to center. There it is. And then what you'll do is you'll bring your next one. You'll line it up here. You'll know where to snip, so you'll snip those, and then you'll slide it in so that center mark is right here with your center stud, and then go ahead and rivet it the same. And you do that all the way down this side and then all the way down the other side. So how you're going to want to do this is you're going to want to set up your first one. Make sure that it's flush, make sure that it's square, do your rivets, one at an angle, then go down to the other side, do the same thing, line it up, make sure it's all set, then go to the far end and put your last one in, do it the same way, and then you want to measure, make sure that your wall is square. Once you've got your wall square, then you start putting in these center pieces. Now to help hold it square, you can actually put a strap or a piece of metal or a band, you can rivet it here and here, or you can put some sort of gusset in there. Either way, but once you measure it, you make sure that you have it fully square, which I will show you. Then you start putting your center pieces in. So do your two end pieces and then do your center piece, or your center pieces, your middle pieces in between. So you want to make sure that you do the end ones first. Now I'm going to get to building this wall. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below. I am trying to be thorough. I am the only one that is recording and building, so I'm trying to get as much done as I can in the short time frame that I have. So I'm trying not to do a whole bunch of time lapse, or when I do time lapse, I want to explain it before and or after to show you what I've done. I've got the compressor aired up, I've got the drill, I got to get the drill bit in it, and I'm ready to rock and roll. Let's get to building this oven. Okay, so we got the outer part of the frame for the first one built. As you saw, I had a little troubles flipping it over, but when you're the only one around, you gotta be thinking on your feet, so to speak, to be able to make some ingenuity happen. All riveted. This is where you're gonna wanna make sure you lay it down. You measure from corner to corner, corner to corner, diagonally, and make sure that they are the same length. If not, you may have to adjust it some. You're also going to want to mark out your spots for your studs. Now, what I'd prefer to do is just get all the marks down. So mark it 16, 16, 16. By now you could have an idea of how wide that strip is or how wide the stud is. So you can go ahead and even make your cuts if you want to. It'll make things easier so you're not messing around with it with that stud sitting right there and trying to deal with it. You can measure everything. You can cut all of those. And then I would attach one side, make sure it's square again, because you can bump it and move it when you're cutting on it, doing that stuff, drilling on it. And then I would start and work each end in. So in other words, after you've got all of these done, come over here and start, for instance, on this side. make sure it's square, attach the one there. Then come to this side, make sure it's square, attach the second one there, and then go back to this side and keep going back and forth. Once you've got all those attached, it should hold it pretty square. Flip it, check it again to make sure that it's square, and then do the same things. And then that wall is built. It's ready for insulation. There you go. You're ready to rock and roll. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue to knock this out. If you have any questions, comment down below. I'll get to them. I like to make sure that I answer all of your questions. I'm trying not to go through this too fast, but I'm also trying to keep it an entertaining video. Let's go ahead and do this. I'm gonna rock out to some music, get it going. Okay, so I've got the first 10-foot by 8-foot tall section built. There's going to be 2 of these on each side. That'll make it 20-foot by 8-foot tall. Once those are all built, stacked up here, then I'll go ahead and put them together. But we're going to be getting Austin's stuff moved out of here over the next couple of days. That will give it some more room, and we can go ahead and start putting it together. I do have to still get the metal that's going to go on the inside and the outside of it. I should be getting that the end of this week. I think it's going to take them 4 days to cut it, so it'll be Wednesday or Thursday of this next week that I'll be able to grab that. I want to see if I can get the 2 20-foot side walls framed up today, and then I'll need to assess how much more metal I'm going to need for the top, because I am actually going to build it a little bit wider than I initially planned, so I'm going to need to get some more metal. But I'm going to throw you on a time lapse, get the rest of these other 3 that are like this knocked out, same way I did the first one. Let's get it.
A few moments later.
I'm back. It's the next day, and I had been thinking what would bring you guys better content. And I was thinking, how about some close-ups? Maybe a little bit of time-lapse, but at least me doing a voiceover explaining what I'm doing. Whereas I told you before, at least you're going to be able to kind of get a close-up of it and see exactly what it is that I'm doing, because I didn't really do that in the videos that I made yesterday. And the whole idea of me documenting this is A, to do better than I did the first time, and B, bring you all value so you all can build ovens off this. Now, my video that I made 5 years ago have really helped a lot of people in building their ovens, and I'm hoping that this video actually brings up a lot more information, because there was a lot of people that said A, that I'm blabbing, but it was my first time making content, B, that I didn't really kind of show enough of some of the things. So I want to do that today. I got 2 more 10-foot long sections that I have to build. That's going to be the other side wall. So this is one side wall. This is going to be the other side wall. I have to build 2 more like that. I'm going to focus on getting those done, reassess what metal I have, finally make a decision on how wide I want to go with the oven, and then I need to pick up more material because I am going to be a little bit short. I'm going to focus on getting that done. I want to show you guys up close what I'm doing, measurements that I'm taking, where I'm cutting, how far I'm cutting, all that good stuff. Show it to you right now. So what I'm doing right here is just lining it up and trimming the edges, and I'm making sure that it's fully square. Then I'm going to drill a hole and pop the rivet in it, and I'm going to move around to each corner. I'm going ahead and do this. This is the next corner. This is actually where I put the double studs. So as you'll see here in a little bit, I needed to cut that so I can put a double stud there, and same with this one. But I forgot about that. It's okay. It's no problem. I'll take care of it here in just a second. After this, I have 1 more corner to do. Now I've got a final rivet in each one. Now it's ready to flip and start on the other side. So I'm now going to do the same thing that I just did, but on the other side. And I'm also going to make sure that it's square, because I want to put in 2 on each of these. And I will give you a close-up of that. I put them at an angle. It just, in my mind, works a little bit better. 2 in each one to stop it from moving. I only put 1 in each one there because I want to be able to have some flexibility and be able to make it move. It's basically just holding it there so I can go ahead and set it up on this other side as well. Just make make sure that everything's flush. And as long as everything's flush, it ends up being pretty square. You do have a little bit of flexibility. What is really going to help keep it square is when the sheeting goes on the outside and the inside. That's going to really help keep it square as well and really help keep it stable. It's not holding a lot of weight. It's only holding the weight of itself. I'm going to go ahead and put these in, give you a glimpse of how I put 2 in, and then I will go ahead and come back and talk to you and explain to you how I'm going to go ahead and lay it out 16 inches on center. So this is really self-explanatory. What I'm doing is I'm just making sure that this side is square like the other one, but I'm putting 2 rivets in, and as you can see, I put it at an angle. Now that I've got 2 in each of the corners on this side, I'm going to go ahead and mark 16 inches on center, starting with the center stud on this side. One thing that I want you to remember if you're doing this, always start measurements from the same side on every wall that you build. I don't know if you've noticed in any of the time lapses, but I start on this side. I measure 16, 16, 16, 16, 16, and then there's a little bit more than 16, but since I double it up down there, it's okay. Then I come back here and do 16, 16, 16, 16, 16. The reason is those ends are not dead on exact on 16, meaning that if you start there and then you start measuring here on this side, it's going to be way off. And you want to make sure you do it on every wall that you build. Do it the exact same way. That way you don't have to worry about your measurements being off. Just something to think about. I'm going to go ahead and show you real quick how I do that. Probably be a time lapse with a voiceover. So just make sure that you got your mark on center, and then when you're doing this, hold the tape measure and hold the stud at the same time. Once you have your tape on the mark that you need it to, this will stop it from moving. It's a very good way to keep it on the mark. I do one side, cut them, and then do the other side and then cut them. Remember though, if you're able to get the track, you don't have to cut those edges. There are a top and bottom track. The reason I don't have that track is because the couple of pieces that my lows did have, they were damaged. When I build the door and I build the back wall as well as the top, I'm actually going to have that track, and you don't have to do this step right here. I just flipped it as you saw. So what I just did to the other side, marking those lines, cutting that, I need to do that on this side because all I did was flip it. So starting from that end right there, measure 16 on center, go through, cut them all. And then now, once they're all folded out, I can start putting those other pieces in. It takes me about 2 hours while recording to build one of those panels. That's what it took yesterday. I'm going to get that done here. And also I want to tell you, if you can tell, rivets are extremely labor intensive because every hole has to be drilled and then riveted. It is definitely time consuming. I've already went through, I believe, 200 rivets, possibly a little bit more. I bought Lowe's completely out yesterday. I'm gonna have to try and find some on Amazon or something like that. That way I can get more to make sure that I have enough of them. And also, when I built my first oven, I used the 1/4 inch rivets, which they worked good, but it was a little bit loose fitting sometimes because the gap didn't pull this thinner metal fully together. So on this one, I used the 1/8 inch ones, and I'll tell you what, they work absolutely amazing. So just keep that in mind. Now I might need to move to the 1/4 inch when I put the metal on, but we'll have to see, because when we get to the skinning part, the outer metal, I already know there's going to be a massive debate on here about the metal that I'm using. We'll get to that. I will go in depth over the heater, the heating system that I'm using, as well as the PID controller. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm not supposed to do that in these videos. I'm going to mark out all of these, and then I'm going to cut them. Then I'm going to come back and show you the next step as I'm installing those. Okay? See you in a second. So I made a little mistake that I didn't show you. Is this end one I double cut. So I'm going to have each end doubled up. The reason I don't do the other end is because those are going to be meeting in the middle, and there will be 2 on the ends of it that are together that we actually rivet together. So if we did 2 on that end, it would be 4. There's really no need for that. Plus it makes it harder to rivet the wall together if there's 2, trying to get to each other. So there's going to be 2, and then in the center where they come together, those 2 will be riveted together. So there'll be 2 together there, and then there'll be 2 together on the other end where the door is. I forgot to show you guys that, but basically you just double cut it the same way, and then you're going to go ahead and rivet it the same way. I haven't done the second one here because that's what we're getting ready to get to right now. You can see I got them all laid out. It's because I got each of the ones cut. What I usually do is I turn them sideways, lay them flat, slide them in at an angle, and then just stand them up in here. Now what we are going to do is put 1 rivet in each of the top and the bottom. The big, most important things that we want to worry about right now is try to get your line on center best you can. If it's off a little bit, you're okay, but best you can. Also, you want to make sure that the end caps, the top and the bottom, are pressed all the way down. You can use your square if you want, but when putting in the first one, as long as you make sure that the end caps are pushed all the way down tight, these are done with a machine, so they're flat. So the flatter you get them on there, the more square it's going to be. You do that on each of these, and at the same time, you want to put your second rivet in each of the corners. Only the second one in each of the corners. After we put one in the top of each of these, we will flip it. Get all of those done. So 2 in each of the ones on the back, then we flip it one more time and then do the final around. Yes, it is a lot of flipping, but it's to make sure that each side is equal. I'm going to go ahead and do a little time lapse on you and probably a voiceover, maybe some music this time, and show you exactly what I'm doing. Pretty much the same thing that we did on the corners, except for you're aligning it with a line instead of aligning 2 corners together. Okay, so I got 2 in each of the corners, and then I got 1 on each of the ends. I actually flipped it already, and I'm ready to go ahead and get down with it. And now I will be making sure again that the line is the best it can be in the center, and then I'm going to make sure I tap the top of it so it's nice and flush. And then this time I'm going to go ahead and put 2 on each of them on the top, 2 on each on the bottom. Then I'll go ahead and flip it and then go back around each of those and put the last one, and then this piece will be done, and I'll be ready to start on the next one, which will be the final for the 2 20-foot long walls. Then we'll look at what we've got, and I'll probably edit this video and put it out for you. That way you guys have got a good idea on how to do the framing of it. Literally the side walls, the back walls, the door, all of that is the same. Now attaching the door is going to be a little different, but building it, the framing of it, just what I've been doing, and the skinning and the insulation part, that's all going to be the same. It doesn't matter which wall it's on. I'll probably show you guys updates on that when it happens, but as far as the framing of the oven, I think we've got a solid video. Let me go ahead and knock this out. So what this is right here, the 4 sections that are going to make up the 2 sides that are 20-foot long. So the large sides are done. As a matter of fact, I framed up that last one and it took me 1 hour and 10 minutes without recording. Those are ready to go. I only have 2 pieces left because I didn't account that I was going to be doubling the ends on each of them, so I didn't account for that. Anyways, so those will be used for the back panel, and then I'm going to get some more for the front door, and then I'm also going to get some to frame out the roof. I didn't want to get too much metal at first because when I first bought the metal, the shop here hadn't even been rearranged. So I didn't want to get a whole bunch of metal and then have to move it several times while rearranging the shop. As it was, I had to move this metal a couple of times, and these are still going to have to be moved one more time so we can get the rest of the stuff out, but there's no problem there. As soon as that happens, I will go to Lowe's. I'll bring you all along and get some more metal, or I do have to call and make sure that the other metal is getting cut, the metal that's going to be for the skin. I also need to make sure that my local Lowe's has enough of the insulation because we're going to have to grab that. I don't want to grab the insulation until I have the metal to skin it because I don't want to have it just laying around. I want to be able to have the metal to skin it, maybe even attach some of it, then get the insulation laid in there, finish the other side, and then be ready to go. Anyway, that's all in a future video. I'm going to shower. I got a house to finish painting. I'm going to get me some lunch. And if you want to check out the rest of the build, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, or share it with friends if you want to. Turn on post notifications so you don't miss the next upload. Going to be skinning the oven, the insulation, and then possibly the heater and the PID controller. I might give them their own video just so people understand how to hook it up. I'll let you know more of that in the next video. See ya.